I was sitting in chapel watching, it was Bob Goff, and I love Bob Goff. I love any message that comes out of his mouth. I mean, he's really encouraging. So if you are not here, your homework, and I'm good at giving that, your homework is to go on to the chapel site and look back at that. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times because when I got an email later that day that Mr. Elliott wanted someone to speak about it, to follow up on it, I raised my hand and I was like, ooh, because it's always a little scary getting up and speaking in front of a bunch of people. But I loved it. It spoke to me, and here is why. I am really good at failing. I'm good at it. You know what I'm better at? I'm better at comparing myself to other people who maybe don't fail in my mind. I'm good at comparison, comparing myself. I'm good at running up my screen time on my phone with Instagram and Facebook. I don't do Snapchat. I tried it for a while to keep up with my kids. I just don't do it. But I'm good at looking at stuff and always trying to think, how can I do better? How can I do better? And when I'm doing that, I'm looking at myself and how much I'm failing. Do you do that? Do you beat yourself up for things? Or maybe if you don't, do you compare yourself to other people? When I went off to ACU, and Mrs. Gower, I know I'm going to mention this story. She didn't even know me then, but when I moved into my dorm, Mrs. Gower was, I don't know, were you on the second floor or first? Second? Oh, I'm sorry, Nelson dorm at ACU. First floor, okay, yes. Because I was on the first floor, and we set up our room. We didn't have Pinterest. We didn't have where you make a registry of all the things. We didn't have like a design board for our rooms. We just kind of put stuff together, and mine was mauve and country blue. Where are my 80s people? Yes, okay. And I walked down the hall, and seniors, where are you seniors? Raise your hands. Okay. If you find yourself in a dorm next year, if not, that's okay too. But if you do find yourself in a dorm, you're going to find yourself walking down the hall and going, wow, I wish I had that room. And I walked down the hall, and Mrs. Gower, because she's Mrs. Gower, or she was Mrs. Cox then, but Paula Cox had an amazing room. And I was like, wow, I like that room. I wish I had that room. So this is where I'm at. I do that a lot. Or I'll be like, ooh, I wish my house looked like that. Now that there's Pinterest, I even look back at wedding pictures and I'm like, why did I pick that veil? Like, it was 1995. That's why I picked that veil. And little things like that, I do that, y'all. So I came in. I could go on and on about this. I came in and I sat down, and his message was that one of the things that he said was that comparison is from the enemy. Don't sit there and compare yourself and compare and beat yourself up for failures. That is from the enemy. He's good at doing that, and he's good at doing it late at night when you can't sleep. He's good at that. So don't listen to that. So the big message was, don't play it safe. This was the title. Playing it safe will steal your joy. Don't identify with your mistakes. Don't over-identify with your mistakes. Should we learn from them? Yes, we should learn from our mistakes. Don't over-identify with your mistakes. Don't compare yourself to other people and then push yourself down and overplay your mistakes. And I'm only saying that, maybe you don't struggle with that, but I really, really, really do. I say I should have done this. So much so that now when I say that, my husband says, don't say that. You're not supposed to do that. I should have done this. I shouldn't have done this. Why didn't we do this? I do this all the time. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I say this then? I don't know. But all I know is that whatever I attach that to, if it's another person, I can't insert myself into God's plan for that person. So I don't need to say I should have done that. here we are, right? God has his plan. Okay, so one of the things that Bob Goff talked about was how he really failed and bombed in a piano recital. And I related with that too, because in third grade, I would sit and talk to my teacher and try to get her off topic, I wouldn't want to play. I'd just sit and talk, and she would do it. She would sit and talk with me instead of saying, yeah, that's good, let's get going. So I'm a horrible piano player. I really can't play. He couldn't either, and so he bombed in a recital. Therefore, he didn't play for another 10 years until he walked by, in college, he walked by a room that had a big grand piano that he said looked like a big hearse because it caused him shame. Think about things that you may have failed at in the past that cause you shame. Shame is not from God. Conviction is. When you learn from something and you think, I don't want to be there again. God, help me to overcome this. But he walked through, he sat down, and he played the song perfectly. Okay, that was one of the things that he talked about. I'm sorry, I'm sitting here trying to organize my thoughts because I just wrote like crazy. We remember most the things we do often. And so like playing the piano, he calls it finger memory. How many of you can type pretty quickly? How many of you can text without looking at your phone? I mean, iPhones, it's harder. But if you do something all the time, you get into that rhythm. So he said we may see something that reminds us of our failures, but don't over-identify with that. If you are playing in the key of Jesus, if you're in rhythm with him, you can talk to him about it. Lord, I am beating myself up about this. Can you help me? Can you help me get past this? One of the habits that I made during quarantine was that I wanted to be in the Word every single day, and I wanted to be reading my Bible first in the morning. I didn't want to hear any other voices because I recognized that my screen time was going up. Okay, if I looked on my phone and I went, wow, 4 hours? Whoa. 4 hours of my life, I could have been doing something else. Comparison, all of those things. I thought when I put my feet on the floor, I want the first words that I hear to be from Jesus. And I just picked a book of the Bible and I read one chapter and I would read it. I got this idea from Beth Moore. If you don't know who she is, learn who she is. And I read, and I had a list of people I would pray for, and I would pray for those people as I'm reading. I would pray. If I didn't understand something, I'd say, Lord, I don't understand this. Help me understand. It was sort of a back and forth with them. And it was usually early in the morning. It was quiet. I would only turn on one lamp, so I wasn't looking at the laundry pile that I didn't fold the day before. Failure, right? I didn't look at the dishes I left in the sink. Didn't want to beat myself up for that. I would just do that. Let me tell you, there will be a time in your life when you will have your feet knocked out from under you. You will feel like the world has come in and crashed on you. It may be that you lose someone, or it may be that your circumstances change somehow. It can be anything. There can be something that's going to knock you flat and knock the breath out of you. Let me tell you. Get in tune with Jesus. Play in the key of Jesus. Get close to him. Read his word. Find a time daily to do that. Dig in. Because let me tell you, when in times of my life that I was doing that, and then I hit hard times, it was almost as if every step I had to take had to be, okay, Lord, this breath is from you. It's not from me. I need your breath in me. I need you every minute. There's a song, I need thee every hour. I have sung that and meant it. I need thee every minute. And there's joy in that. Your circumstances do not dictate your joy. They don't. Don't let them steal your joy. And that was another message that he had. Our joy does not rely on our circumstances. So if we aren't careful, the current chaos that we may be going through right now can dictate your joy. But let me tell you, it's not. It shouldn't. You just love the Lord. Eyes on Jesus. He is your anchor. If you've ever been in a boat with an anchor, you know that you're not going to drift away. Jesus is your anchor. And if you don't hear anything else from me today, I need you to hear that Jesus is your anchor, that he loves you. He steps into the mess that we all are, and we need each other, and we need to remind one another of who we are. And that was the last thing, well, of the many that I took away. There are so many other things, but I'm not going to stand here all day. So I want you to get real with each other and get real with Jesus. And I want you to think of the people in your life, the friends that you have. If you've made bad choices, it is Tuesday at 9:34. It's not Monday at 4 o'clock. It's not last weekend. It's Tuesday. It's 9:34. You go to Jesus because you know what? He throws that as far as east is from west. It's gone. It's clean. And not only do you keep that to yourself, you go to your friends who maybe were involved in some of the bad choices. I don't know. Whatever they are. And you say, you know what? Here's who we are. I'm going to remind you of who you are. You belong to Jesus. I belong to Jesus. And if you feel awkward doing that, do it anyway. Because people need to hear that. I've had friends tell me that. And I needed to hear it. And it brought me joy. God uses our failure to remind us of how much we need him. And we need him. This world is a mess. And you know what? It always is, because it's the world. 2020 is not, it doesn't have anything new. Well, it kind of does, but it's not, any different than 1967 when I was born, or 1986 when I was walking down the hall comparing my room, my dorm room, to everybody else's. There's nothing different about the fact that this world is a mess. We are a mess. I'm a mess. You may be a mess. That's okay. Because you know what? You belong to Jesus. If you have Jesus, if you don't have Jesus, come and talk to me or any of the teachers here, because you need Jesus. You need him. You want him. There's too much mess out in the world. You need the peace. I love peace, and I love joy. And I know that really the only true place it can come from is him. I can sit here and give you all the self-help advice, but it comes from Jesus. Okay. It's easy to bail out. The last thing I want to say, I'm going to stop. But the last thing that I took from that is when you fail, it's easy to crawl up in bed and just stop. That is one of the things, like if you struggle with anxiety too, that may be one thing that you do is just, I'm not going to go there again. It's easier to say no. Okay, it's easier to stay safe. Don't play it safe. Because Bob Goff talked about the man named Lex who was blind, and yet he was an Olympic runner and long jumper, and he had a friend. And his friend would call his name, and that guided him. And one time he was off, and he jumped, and he missed, and he totally splat, on the ground. He got up, and he did it again, y'all. Your life matters. Your actions matter. Your love matters. We need each other. Dig into the people around you. Don't play it safe. Call their name. Remind them of who they are. If you need it, you say, I need you to remind me of who I am. And if you need Jesus, honestly, don't be ashamed of that. If you come here since kindergarten and you're like, I'm just not feeling that relationship, speak it. Speak out and come to me. I know. I understand that. Come to me. Come to any of these teachers and say, I want to know him more. Because you need Jesus, you need joy, you need peace, and we need each other. Dig in, Don't play it safe. Remind each other of who we are, okay? And live in tune with Jesus. Okay, we're going to pray real quick, and then I'm going to let y'all go. Father, I pray that that in the crazy of the morning I've had and in the crazy morning that we may all have had, Lord, that you'll just stop and you'll say, you know what? It is 9:39 and it's on a Tuesday. It's not 9:34 anymore. It's 9:39. And it's about to be 9:40, and you are with us. You're with us in every breath we take. You're with us every step we take. And Lord, I just ask for you to step into the hearts of each of these kids. In Jesus' name, amen.